And hello, everybody, and welcome to Sports Hits with cwit. Happy to have you here today. Got a great show planned for you guys, so stick around. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Steel City Sport 4, Steel City Sport 4, to get caught up with all the news, and we'll give you some hot takes on there. So let's get started, but first, hit the music.
Yeah, you know what it is. Black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. Yeah, you know what it is. Black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. Yeah, you know what it is. Everything I do it big. Yeah, screaming last night when I pulled off the lot. That's done. Reppin' my town. When you see me, you know everything. Black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow. I put it down from the whip to my diamonds. I'm in black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow.
And welcome back to Sports Hits with cwit. So my Pittsburgh Steelers took care of business on Sunday against the Rams with a final score 17-12. This game, I loved watching this game. The Steelers defense is back, ladies and gentlemen. Let's be honest. This defense has been fantastic, especially with the addition of Minkah Fitzpatrick. I'm going to get to this guy in a little bit. This guy is a playmaker at best. He's a ball-hawking free safety. Seems like he's all around the ball. He's reading the quarterback's eyes and getting that much-needed interception. So I'm going to go through the game stats for you guys. Starting out with the LA Rams, they came in with a 5-3 record, and now they're 5-4. Sean McVay was actually 10-0 against AFC teams coming into this game, but now it's 10-1 thanks to Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So Jared Goff had was 22 for 41, 243 passing yards, and 2 interceptions. I give this guy credit, and the only reason I give him credit is because this guy has no help with his offensive line or receivers getting open at all. I mean, you look at Goff and what he did last year, it was phenomenal, but it seems like the genius card of Sean McVay is kind of expiring. I mean, you see what this guy is doing. He run a lot of hitches and a lot of crossing routes. Try to get those receivers in space and with playmakers, their hands in the balls. But Sean McVay, his genius card, you could say, is running out. It didn't work early on this year. Robert Saleh shut him up. But the one key point I look at the Rams this season, they had a game down there in Seattle, and Greg Zuerlein, missed the field goal. And I say if Greg Zuerlein doesn't miss that field goal, it would be a whole different season for the Rams than if he made that field goal. You look at that field goal, if he makes it, they have commanding lead over Seattle. They got some momentum, and they don't lay an egg against the 49ers. So going into the rushing, Todd Gurley had 12 carries, 73 yards. We did very, very well limiting him and his production, especially with his high performance last week against the Bengals. But again, it is the Bungles. Don't go crazy for that, people. But he didn't have a lot of help, let's be honest. His offensive line has been banged up all season. It's kind of like him and Jared Goff kind of looking around trying to fix this offensive line immediately because they need it down there in Los Angeles at best. Robert Woods led the way with all receiving with 7 receptions and 95 yards. If going into the Rams game and you say Robert Woods is going to beat us, I love them doing that. Obviously, Cooper Kupp was held to 0 catches and 0 yards. So fantastic job by the Steelers on that. Mike Hilton, Keith Butler, and Mike Tomlin all disguised a plan to shut down Cooper Kupp, and they did so with him getting 0 receptions and 0 yards. But it's good to get a guy like Robert Woods, make him beat you, kind of like a Bill Belichick thing. He's going to take up 2 guys like the Steelers did in Todd Gurley and Cooper Kupp. And they're going to make guys like Robert Woods, Jared Everett, and Josh Reynolds beat them. But certainly that did not happen this weekend, as the Steelers were just all around the ball. It seemed like their receivers were getting no separation. The secondary has been locked down with Joe Hayden, Steven Nelson. Terrell Edmonds has been playing better after a rough week 1 and 2, especially against the Patriots. I was watching this game film this morning, and he was awful in that game, but it seems like he's cleaned up a little bit and had a much-needed game and much-needed couple of games trying to boost his confidence up. Obviously, he's the first-round pick of last year's draft from Virginia Tech. But they're going to make guys like Robert Woods, Gerald Everett beat you. Obviously, Robert Woods, Gerald Everett, and Josh Reynolds all combined for 18 receptions, keeping Todd Gurley minimized and Cooper Kupp out of the picture. So great job by the Steelers there. Moving on to defense. This defense has done, let's just say, fantastic. I'm talking about the Rams. The Rams defense, they're good. They're pretty good. And for the Steelers to put up 17 on this defense and come back like they did with allowing a botched snap for a touchdown, their defense did pretty good. Obviously, it's led by the man, the myth, the legend, the Pitt alumni, and Penn Hill's player, Aaron Donald himself. It seemed like they tried to put fire in, try to match the strength of Aaron Donald. He used his speed, but you got to double him at some point, and he'll get to the quarterback at some point during the game, and he just did that. Jalen Ramsey did okay. Juju Smith-Schuster had an okay game. He had Juju had 3 receptions for 44 yards. Ramsey kind of locked him up, but when Juju needed it most, he made plays, which is very good for the Steelers. Jalen Ramsey had 3 tackles. Aaron Donald had 5 tackles and 1.5 sack, 2.5 sack tackles for loss. Corey Littleton was the leading tackler with 14 total tackles. Taylor Rapp followed him with Troy Hill and Eric Weddle at 7. Dante Fowler had a 1.5 tackles for loss and 2 tackles. Let's move on to the Steelers. Mason Rudolph did his job, but it wasn't pretty. 22 for 38, 242 yards, and a touchdown from Mr. Rudolph. I thought he composed himself well after going down and leading and letting up that botched snap, which wasn't his fault. That was Pouncey's fault. When you have a rookie quarterback, we'll say so rookie because he was a rookie last year but didn't get any playing time. Pouncey, that's all on Pouncey. He's a veteran in this league. He knows how to calm the rookie quarterback down with that botch snap. It's all on number 53, Marquise Pouncey. But Rudolph composed himself well. He made the throws when needed. This offense is a little bit dysfunctional, let's say. Obviously, Randy Fichtner is not opening up the playbook like Steelers fans want him to. They kind of want to minimize things for Mason Rudolph, make it easy on him, make the throws when necessary. But when they another point is how maybe the Steelers should open up the playbook to Mason Rudolph and company is week 2 versus Seattle. Ben Roethlisberger was starting, and every week the NFL they go into a game plan. Game plan. And the game plan was to try to sling the ball on these guys. And then Ben Roethlisberger goes down. Mason Rudolph starts the second half. And he did a pretty good job. I forget his stats that game. He had a couple touchdowns, 2 to Vance McDonald, found Juju Smith-Schuster downfield. And the playbook was opened up for him so he could see all of the field and just pick apart these guys in Seattle who are actually having a good year on defense. So surprised he did that. But that's another reason maybe the Steelers should open up the playbook for Mason Rudolph. Let him sling it and pick apart these guys on defense. Pittsburgh rushing needs to get better. Jalen Samuels had 14 carries for only 29 yards. Tony Brooks James, the practice squad signee from Oregon, had 6 carries and 11 yards. This offense needs to get better, and it starts in the run game. James Conner will likely go on Thursday night, although some Steeler fans, including myself, may think, if he's not 100%, I don't want him playing at 70 to 80%. Just rest him up. It's the Browns. I feel like we can beat the Browns with the guys that we got, and I think our defense can carry us in the victory on Thursday night in Cleveland. But the offense needs to get better, and it starts in the running game. James Conner, he gets a lot of injuries because of his style of running. He's a downfield back. He'll pound in you, he'll try and truck you, but he'll get a lot of injuries during that as well. And another stat I'm a little surprised about and kind of embarrassed about, Vance McDonald got a rush. Last time I checked, Vance McDonald was a tight end. That does sound funny, but I don't know what Randy was thinking. Pittsburgh receivers, James Washington, some guy on Twitter named Nick Faramba. I think I pronounced that wrong. I'm sorry if I did. But he said that James Washington would be the X factor, and so was he right. James Washington finally at his coming out party. We knew it would happen sooner than later. We knew that Mason Rudolph and him had a connection in college, and maybe it would carry over to the pros. James Washington had 6 receptions, 90 yards, and a touchdown with a long run of 34, but fumbled on that play. The ball security has not been great for the Steelers this year. Need to clean that up, especially with the Browns team coming in on Thursday. But I love what I saw from Washington this week. He was smooth as can be with his routes. He was awesome. Deontay Johnson had 4 receptions for 64 yards with a long of 30. This guy continues to impress me each and every week. He's a playmaker. You get him the ball in his hands, and he'll go and make a play. He reminded me of Antonio Brown coming out of college. You get him, he didn't run the fastest as did AB, but if you get him the ball in space, he looks pretty fast, and he'll make plays for you guys. In my opinion, the best route runner in the class, and I know I saw an article the other day that people say that Deontay Johnson was overdrafted and we could have gotten him later. That is false. I saw a article from the Pittsburgh Steelers, Bob Patton, something like that. But he works with Missy Matthews. Obviously, Missy Matthews is the Pittsburgh Steelers insider, and he got from a source that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would have drafted Deontay Johnson if the Steelers did not draft him. So the Steelers got him at the right time, and I'm very satisfied with his production. 10 games through the season. Juju Smith-Schuster, we talked about a little bit. Obviously going up against one of the best corners in the league, and Jalen Ramsey. He held his own. He made plays once he needed to make plays. 3 receptions, 44 yards. You look at his stat line and you don't think that great of a game, but when the Steelers needed the plays the most, this guy came. I think it was a second down in the red zone trying to close the game out. It was a second down and 11 or something. He ran a slant across the middle, throws a little bit behind him, but he pulled the ball away from Jalen Ramsey and setting up a 3rd and 1, which the Steelers would eventually botch and then kick the field goal from Boswell. But all said and done, Juju had an okay game, still developing, still trying to become that number 1 receiver that Pittsburgh fans thought he would be. He's 22. He's 23 years old, ladies and gentlemen. This kid's got time, and he's got a bright future in the Pittsburgh Steelers uniform. For defense, Mark Barron led the team in tackles. Obviously, I am not the biggest Mark Barron fan, but he played well over the weekend. He did. He played well. Not a lot of production from Devin Bush and Vince Williams, both having 3 tackles. Vince Williams had 8 tackles for loss, and Devin Bush had a half a tackle for loss. But the main reason we want to talk about this defense is the pass rushers. TJ Watt and Bud Dupree has been phenomenal this year. Bud Dupree, obviously playing for his contract, has been a little inconsistent the past couple of years, but now he's thinking to find his stride and his ceiling. This guy has been a disruptive pass rusher ever since week 3, where we acquired Minka Fitzpatrick himself, and he has given he's really made everyone around him better. I know you're thinking Minka Fitzpatrick, he's a free safety. How can he make people better? He's getting the boo-boos, and he's like taking care of himself. So basically, when you run a route and you get beat, let's say, the free safety is going to be there. The free safety comes up, you try, and the free safety is reading the quarterback's eyes the whole time, the whole possession. So he's covering up the route where the quarterback wants to go with his eyes so that he can't throw that, which gives more time for TJ Watt and Bud Dupree to get to the quarterback. And the production has been phenomenal ever since week 3 versus 49ers. Those two having an outstanding year. Both, in my opinion, could be in the Defense Player of the Year running, including Minka Fitzpatrick, who had another what do you have? Minka Fitzpatrick had a touchdown yesterday on the fumble. He had a fumble recovery and a interception. This guy has been phenomenal. I saw a stat the other day. It was Minka Fitzpatrick has more touchdowns as a Steeler than Odell Beckham Jr. does for the whole season. How is that possible? Odell Beckham Jr. is a wide receiver, if you guys didn't know, and Minka Fitzpatrick's a free safety. One's on defense, one's on offense. Offense should win all the time. Another thing that you guys may not think it's important, but I think it's very important, is the Steelers' special teams hasn't been up to par. Obviously, the newly additioned Robert Spillane has been filling in for a star rookie on the special teams unit, including and that is Julius Gilbert II. He has been phenomenal. Obviously, he went down from IR. I think it was his shoulder, if I'm not mistaken. So he's done for the year. Spillane had 2 penalties, 2 offsides, or 2 jumps, maybe 1 hold. Just trying to think that out. But our main special teams that I've been disappointed with is our punt returns. Deontay Johnson fumbled on one. I forget if we recovered. And then Ryan Switzer. Ryan Switzer, I'd like to say, I love the guy. I think he's a good teammate, but he's what I like to call mediocre at best. And then I would say he can't make a guy miss. I saw it was a picture, 2 pictures side by side. It was Ryan Switzer fielding the ball at the 7. And then the result of him getting tackled was at the 5. And I don't know how that is possible. There weren't many defenders in front of him, so he could have gone the distance or even got in a positive gain. But nope, he got a negative gain. So the Steelers did take care of business against the Rams. That's a little rundown of what the game. I'm most impressed with the Steelers' defense. It looks like the steel curtain in 1970 defense, including Joe Green, Jack Lambert, Jack Ham, all those guys. It seems like it's coming back with athletic pass rushers, can get to the passer, can get to the quarterback every single play, fast linebackers making plays, and then the most important part, the secondary lockdown, leave their mans on islands, and of course the free safety help over top with Minka Fitzpatrick. Minka Fitzpatrick, I'm going to talk about him for a little bit here, and then we'll take a break. Most critics, or let's just say sports analysis, when Steelers traded for Minka Fitzpatrick, obviously we gave up our first round pick this year, 2019 pick, and that was after Ben went down for the year. And I think it put a lot of confidence in Mason, knowing that the Steelers and the organization believes in him, and they are willing to give up their first round pick, even though most analysts were ruling the Steelers out, including Stephen A. Smith, Colin Cowherd. But after 10 games of the year, the Steelers are sitting very satisfied in the second of the division, 6 in the wild card, and that would make him in the playoffs. But I thought Minka was a good trade for the Steelers, but I'll admit it. I didn't know if it was the right time, especially with Big Ben going down. I didn't have a lot of trust with Mason. Obviously, I saw him in preseason. He impressed there. But again, that's against guys who are getting cut left and right at the end of the year. So I didn't know from Mason. I was a little optimistic because of the performance with him and the Seahawks. Obviously, he came back. He came back in that game and made us in the game, but our defense let Russell Wilson run for 20 yards, and then the Seahawks eventually ran the ball on fourth down to seal the game and steal the Seahawks win 28-26 for them in the Steelers week 2. But and then they put a lot of trust in Mason, putting the organization in his hands. They got Minka Fitzpatrick. He was a difference maker against the 49ers. Obviously, we lost that game, but ever since that, this guy has been a difference maker. And like I said, he has more touchdowns than Odell Beckham Jr. on the struggling Cleveland Browns, who the Steelers have this week. Thursday Night Football in Cleveland, a primetime game. Buck and Aikman will be calling that. Very excited to watch that game. Obviously, a good offense, explosive at best. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr., Baker Mayfield maybe finding a stride, but the Steelers look to play the Browns well and trying to be physical with the Browns and try carry on this defensive talent has been a lot for the Steelers, trying to carry it on and beat the Browns, maybe even gaining a game on the Ravens with them playing the Texans this week. So it's an important game for the Steelers and the Browns if you guys think about it. 20 from the hour, Sports Hits with cwit right back after this break. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Sports Hits with cwit. I'm your host, Colin Whitty, and we're going to talk about the Steelers' offense, particularly what I think they need to improve on. One is the run game. The run game has been dysfunctional, obviously, with Mason Rudolph, the second-year quarterback from Oklahoma State, drafted in the 3rd round, 83rd pick overall. You're going to have some boo-boos, and I think the best way to kind of do that is like more reps in practice. Obviously, Mason Rudolph does not have a connection with these receivers like the Big Ben Roethlisberger does. Mason Rudolph being a second-year player, it's hard to try to find connections with his receivers at first, but obviously he has a connection with James Washington, and that's reflect, especially with last game. He had a touchdown, looked clean in the pocket, trying to make the throws. Don't force the ball downfield. And obviously with the Steelers' defense and how productive they have been, why now that Big Ben gets hurt? Why? Why now? Every time. Big Ben, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, they had the best offense in the NFL. And then we get smacked on by the Patriots on defense. Tell you right now, that 2017 year or 2018 year, we had the defense we have today, we would be winning the Super Bowl. I tell you right now, with the talent we had on offense those years, Antonio Brown, James Conner, Le'Veon Bell, all those guys. Juju Smith-Schuster, Martavis Bryant, all those guys, all of them. And we didn't have a good defense. That's why we lost versus Jacksonville Jaguars. That's why Blake Bortles put up 45 points a game. Another thing about Blake Bortles, one thing Jalen Ramsey can't get away from. Blake Bortles, he cannot get away from that, man. I mean, he may have left Jacksonville for a reason, but I don't know if he wants to be teammates with Blake Bortles. You think he does? I mean, have fun with him. I mean, this guy, Jalen Ramsey, is a bad trash talker. He was talking smack about Juju Smith-Schuster. Juju talked smack back. Jalen Ramsey couldn't respond because they lost to a 4-4 football team with a second-string quarterback. How embarrassing is that? Mason Rudolph might not even be the future, and you're talking trash about his receivers. Speaking of the future, we saw the future this Saturday in the Alabama LSU game, maybe the game of the century. It was a hell of a game. Both quarterbacks were gamers on Saturday. Joe Burrow, obviously being the front runner for the Heisman Trophy winner, but Tua Tagovailoa not very far behind. Joe Burrow has been phenomenal this year. Obviously, the new offense with the Saints passing coordinator, forget his name, but he has been phenomenal this year. And LSU won this game 46-41, and snapping the 8-game losing streak that LSU has to Alabama. And I saw this in the news a couple days ago. It was, is it time for Alabama to move on from Nick Saban? What? The man has 5 championships. He has a record of 154-21. And you're telling me it's time to, quote unquote, move on? BS! Maybe it's time to move on from you, whoever said that. Sheesh. Talk about a one-hit wonder, whoever that person was. No idea what they're talking about. 5 championships. Also, a team that has likely one of the best chances to get a championship, including Ohio State, but they will be without Chase Young. Obviously, took money, he claims, from his girlfriend. But it's illegal in the NCAA. He will likely get a 4-game suspension that will keep him out during the Michigan game. And I'm going to talk about Michigan's chances versus Ohio State. You always have a chance when you're at home in the big house. It's a tough place to play. I remember a couple years ago, I think it might have been 2013 or 2014, Ohio State came in rated as a 3 seed, and Michigan took a commanding 24-14 lead. That's when the fight happened, and those big guys and one of the wide receivers, playmakers, got ejected. But there's always a chance from Michigan. I don't think it's as good as a chance that they had last year. Obviously, Ohio State has Justin Fields and all those guys, all those playmakers, all those first-round draft picks. And Michigan has Shea Patterson, who's been struggling this year, but maybe finding a stride. Obviously, Jim Harbaugh will receive a lot of criticism if he loses this game, but he doesn't have a team built to beat Ohio State, so I wouldn't criticize this guy. He's done a great job. He took a program that's been contending, trying to get into bowl games, to 1 win away from a national championship. So why stop now? I give this chance Michigan about a 23% chance to win, which leaves Ohio State with a 77% chance to win. Michigan's defense has been very, very well over the past couple of weeks. Obviously, the competition hasn't been as high, but still, Don Brown's getting those defense going right at the right time. And the offense maybe finding its stride. Obviously, the new addition with offensive coordinator Josh Gaddis and the new system, Shea Patterson trying to fit in. But they have done well. Obviously, the thumping of Notre Dame will say so. And Michigan has a real legit chance to take down Ohio State this year, in my opinion. I'm going to go through Week 10 of the NFL games. We start out with the Raiders and Chargers. And the Raiders won this game 26-24. The Raiders moving to 5-4 in their division. Obviously, they have the Chiefs in that division. Josh Jacobs with the go-ahead 18-yard rush TD with a minute and 2 seconds to go, giving the Raiders the lead, and Phillip Rivers could not come in clutch and lead them to field goals. So the Raiders win 26-24. They are in second place now, the division, one game back of the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, let's say. So the Raiders are behind the Steelers, if you want to say it. But if the playoffs ended today, they would not be in, and the Steelers would be in. But the Chargers dropped the 4-6 with their playoff chances sliding as we go by. The Lions and Bears. The Bears took care of business at home, winning 20-13. Mitchell Trubisky had 3 touchdown passes, which is hard to say, but maybe fun to say. I mean, who would have expected that Mitchell Trubisky would have 3 touchdown passes? Obviously, Matthew Stafford did not play in this game. Jeff Driscoll played. He did an okay job. He led his team back, had a chance to win it at the end, just couldn't capitalize. Mitchell Trubisky had 3 passing touchdowns in this game. He had 2 touchdowns in the previous 4 games. Maybe he's finding his stride, but again, it's just the Lions. Don't be impressed at all. One thing I'm impressed is Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. It's his team. Give a lot of credit to John Harbaugh and company. They changed around their whole organization with drafting Lamar Jackson. Obviously, Joe Flacco, they had to let him go, Super Bowl champion, a Super Bowl MVP to be exact, and they kind of took away their run-first playmaker option. Not going to throw the ball a lot, just going to pound it until you guys can't stop it. Heck of a job by John Harbaugh capitalizing on that. Fun fact for you, Lamar Jackson has 7 total touchdowns in the last 2 games, obviously reflecting the New England game, 4 passing and 3 rushing. But the Ravens took care of business against a dysfunctional Bengals organization in all, 49-13. The Browns finally got their 3rd win of the season. They go to 3-6 now, still in 3rd place in the division behind the Pittsburgh Steelers and the AFC North leaders, Baltimore Ravens. The Bills drop a game on the road, a game that the Bills probably could have won. Obviously, the Browns needed this game to kind of stay alive, and they just did so with that win, winning 19-16. Baker Mayfield, 2 touchdown passes for the first time this season. The Panthers and Packers. The Packers moved to 8-2 on the year, winning by 24-16. Christian McCaffrey could not reach over the goal line and try and at least tie it up or give the Panthers a chance. He couldn't do that. They dropped to 5-4. Packers move up to 8-2. Aaron Jones continues to impress. He had 3 rushing touchdowns that game, in the second most in a game this season, obviously behind the Cowboys game versus the Packers. He had 4 rushing touchdowns in that game. So the Packers took care of business on a snowy Lambeau Field. Falcons and Saints. The Falcons surprisingly beat the Saints on the road in New Orleans. Atlanta defense had 6 sacks. They had 6 sacks in the previous 7 games combined. Atlanta coach seems to have all his guys motivated after the 1-7 start. Obviously, they cut ties with Matt Bryant, who maybe costed him a couple games, but you can't really throw shade at the kicker. Obviously, we couldn't do it, so don't talk if you can't do it. But the Saints drop a game at home, could be big for first-round bye or maybe even home field advantage. Good division win from the Falcons, but still at 2-7, their playoff chances are unlikely. The Giants and Jets. It was the most combined points in New York Giants and the New York Jets game since Week 13 of 1999. And the Jets winning this game 34-27. Saquon Barkley held to just 1 rushing yard. Daniel Jones battled back from a Jets early takeaway, but the Jets ended up taking care of business at home. not at home. Just wherever, home or away. Both teams are home actually, but the Jets took care of business at home, winning 34-27. The Cardinals and Buccaneers. The Buccaneers won versus the Cardinals 30-27. Jameis Winston had 300 passing yards in 6 games this season, tied the most in the NFL. Jameis Winston has been good this year, a little inconsistent with the interceptions. Obviously, they have been up, but the Bucs at 3-6, playoff chances are unlikely. But again, it's a nice home win for Bruce Arians and company, coming in with his first year trying to change around this Bucs organization. The Chiefs and Titans, Patrick Mahomes can't do it all. Adam Humphries had a go-ahead 23-yard touchdown reception with 23 seconds to go, giving the Titans a commanding lead, winning that game 35-32. Big win for the Titans. Get a game on the Chiefs. Chiefs, brutal loss, only fall to 6-4 right now. They'd be the 3 seed. Obviously, they would play the 2 seed. That would likely be the Baltimore Ravens. Patrick Mahomes can't do it all. The Chiefs defense has a lot of problems. So they need to address that as quick as possible as they can. Dolphins and Colts. The Dolphins, Brian Flores is a heck of a head coach. When you have as much talent as he does right now, obviously they're tanking. Dolphins, baby. They don't want to win, but they won this game 16-12 versus Colts. It's the Dolphins' first wins versus the Colts since week 2 of 2013. Brian Flores has those guys motivated. Ryan Fitzpatrick, or Ryan Fitzmagic, whatever you want to call him. And the Colts dropped 2 straight after having a commanding 5-2 record in that division with the Texans, Jaguars, etc. The Rams and Steelers. The Steelers are 8-1 in November games since 2017. That's the best in the NFL. I talked about this game already. Steelers won 17-12. Vikings and Cowboys. The Vikings won this game 28-24, led by Dalvin Cook's 33 touches and 183 scrimmage yards and a touchdown. He has been phenomenal this year. Vikings moved to 7-3. Kirk Cousins seems to find his stride. Kyle Rudolph with 2 touchdowns in this game. Dak Prescott and company, Amari Cooper, fought hard, but it wasn't good enough. When you run 2 straight run plays to Zeke on 3rd and 2, when Zeke wasn't working all night, I don't know whose call that was. Jason Garrett needs to be addressed with this. He is not a good coach at all. He's a cheerleader at best. But the Vikings win this game 28-24, leading versus the Cowboys most of the game. But the Cowboys' late comeback fell short because they failed on 4th down as Zeke was tackled in the backfield. Seahawks and 49ers, a Monday night thriller, as we like to call it. Seahawks went in to San Francisco and took this game 27-24. Russell Wilson is 24-5-1, has a career record of 24-5-1 in primetime games. Just so you guys, when the brights are light, this guy shines at his best. In my opinion, he's the front runner for the MVP. There's no conversation. This guy has been absolutely amazing this year. The way he's done with that team and that offense, hasn't had a lot of playmakers. Obviously, Tyler Lockett's been going down. They just added Josh Gordon, which helps. But then again, they still are the Seahawks, and Pete Carroll is a great coach, so they won that game 27-24. Some hot takes for you guys. Number 1, Oregon will be in a win and end game like Michigan was last year and lose. Listen, the Pac-12 is so unpredictable because one week Oregon wows you, and then the next week they almost lose to USC, as they almost did a couple weeks ago. So it's just so unpredictable. They're rated 6 in the rankings. Rankings just came out. I don't know what I see from this Oregon team being up and down. So number 2, PJ Fleck and the Minnesota program. Obviously, they beat Penn State this past weekend. Will be the 3rd highest recruiting class behind Michigan and Ohio State in the Big Ten. Listen, I think PJ Fleck is a young coach building a program. Is 9-0. after beating Penn State this past weekend, they moved up heavily in the rankings. He's a very good coach. He's turning around this program. I doubt he would take an NFL job if he was offered one. He's too loyal to the program. And I think he'll get recruits to try and play for him and have the third highest recruiting class behind Michigan and Ohio State, of course. This one has to do with Ohio State. Number 3, Ryan Day, I think, will take the Redskins job. This guy is 40 years old, and he's a bright, offensive-minded coach. The Redskins, by the way, to connect Dwayne Haskins with a loyal guy who's coached him all through college and made him what he is in Ryan Day. This Ryan Day guy, he's 40 years old. I don't see him staying a lot of times at Ohio State, and maybe this year, maybe next year, maybe 5 years from now. But it would be a cool thing, and maybe a good thing for the Redskins organization to hire Ryan Day as their head coach. Number 4, and the final one, the Niners will sign Dez Bryant. Emmanuel Sanders suffered a rib injury last night. I don't know the details on that. Stay tuned on Steel City Sport 4 on Twitter. But this team lacks wide receivers, lacks playmakers. Obviously, the addition with Emmanuel Sanders helps. What with George Kittle battling injuries and their third wide receiver being Dante Pettis and the rookie himself, Deebo Samuel, this team needs more playmakers, and what playmaker better to get than Dez Bryant sitting there on the waivers after suffering a torn Achilles last offseason. So that's going to wrap it up, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to tune in every Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'll be doing this podcast. Thursday will be a fun podcast, obviously, previewing the Steelers game versus the Browns that night. Excuse me. But, make sure to check out our Twitter, Steel City Sport 4. Again, that is Steel City Sport 4 on Twitter. So make sure to check us out, guys. We'll see you later. Enjoy the games. See you next time.
That convertible drop fill, 87 the top pill. Back. You know what it is. Yeah. You know what it is. Y'all already know what it is, man. If you don't, you should by now. When you see me, you know everything. Black and yellow, black and yellow. I put it down. Taylor gang. My diamonds are black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow.